Hello and welcome. So in this video I want to talk about where you are targeted. And this may sound kind of scary, but actually at the core there's absolutely no fear once you understand it. And the further you explore yourself and your inner kingdom, the more you realize that. Which is quite funny, on the contrary, though, until then, the more fear there still is within your system circulating. This trauma, it's always, most of the time, attached to your core trauma, circulating through your energy bodies and repeating itself, so you clear it. But of course it's connected to lower grids, and the ultimate thing we Lightwearers came here to clear, the ultimate program, at least how I see it, if you will so. And it's directed into your I am presence. Now, the I am presence, I will explain further how I understand it, and what do I mean by that? Also, why is it that this is the main point I'm speaking about, which is targeted? As some of you probably know, the I am presence is rooted in the solar plexus, but because everything is everything and all is one, and one is all, of course, and as I already mentioned, it's rooted, it's connected to the whole chakra system. So you always try, you shouldn't do anything, but the more you explore your higher self, your soul, who you really are, the more you come closer to the truth, the law of one Ra, as we all know it, Ra, solar. And there's a reason why it's called I am presence in the solar. And what is the I am presence? That's where your sense of self is rooted, and you align your individual self or sense of self or your soul self also ultimately, of course. From in the lower grids it also got a different role, but these lower chakras aren't really lower per se, because then there are higher correlations to them, then there are the higher lower chakras, right? There's the higher root chakra, the higher sacral, the higher soul, and it's all made of how much light we, and also we as a collective, let pour through. Okay, this is just a simple introduction. Now, why are you targeted? Why? Who is targeting you? Who? Well, it's actually, well, from one perspective, no one is targeting you. From a big perspective, no one is targeting you. Not even the light, although to the darkness it seems it's the target of the light, and from one perspective it is, because there's an opportunity for you to heal and come through more fully as the one who you are. Now, why the importance of this video, or why I found this so important, and also in general to what is playing out on this world, and why I also think, and as we already many know, and how it feels, to be quite frank and honest here, is that the light already won. Well, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense unless we all agree to that on a larger scale, as how I see it, larger cosmic scale, and then it would be the generate, and it wouldn't even make more bring more growth than probably the standpoint which we're already at, but that's uh, would be a greater topic and further to explore. So I don't wanna talk, like I now have it all mapped out for you. But you actually can always connect to that through the Akash, and first and foremost through examining your own energies, at least how I see it. Examining your own energies, and then you see how it correlates to the cosmos. And it's actually also a matter of focus, because if you're still focused on the base theme of things, then of course everything mirrors everything. But like if you're still rooted, and most people aren't rooted, but if you especially still so much focused on the matrix, it's not even rooted. Okay, so you're not even focused on nature, you're not grounded in nature, so you're focused on that kind of place, so you don't even want to examine yourself most of the time. So that's why people on these states ignorant. It's just you're blurring these other things out, you're not focusing. I don't want to go too much into it because this is already a big topic. Now the reason I want to talk about it is because, like, my core got as well targeted, or this was my core experience, and but it also brought too much great awakening and helped me to examine myself quite early as well, and speed up especially my ascension process, of course according to as much as I or we let it, you know free ourselves, because it actually is part of the game to help us free ourselves. From another perspective, the collective grid, so because our souls already know, right? So yeah, and the whole main theme is why, because it's so easy for us to blame, and I know what I'm speaking about, especially if you've gone through so much trauma and you're already trying to heal and try to do your best, but obviously from your experience, you and especially if you had bad experiences also from early on with other people, you agonize an outside enemy still somewhere subconsciously, but through that you're already creating, or not creating, actually you're more from one perspective creating, from another perspective perpetuating this duality, energy and game of consciousness, and you're always in survival because this is playing out as an unresumed, uncontrolled energy trying to prey on you, but actually it's you still embodying that energy in canon your system. But it's not you embodying it, because it was an imprint of another person or situation. But actually it probably just was part of the energies you came here to clear. So it's it's much more for you to explore how it correlates to you in your reality. But the key to this is, and why I'm talking about this, why it's so important, is because through that you can much easier release the, at least I find it, the victim mentality and the fear, and know that you are safe, which is also a big one for Stasids in crowning our life, because especially within this matrix we feel kind of ungrounded, unrooted, and also if you're highly empathic, etc., etc., and that's why grounding is also very important, and you feel that. But especially because we are running around searching for ourselves, is because we're all to some degree, we connect to this because we're all one, we're one universe, right? Old news. We all know that. And so just from maybe a different experience, but you know that, and what we try to do is rebalance these energies or these core, yeah, these things at our core of who we are, and we probably took upon, and that's what many talk about, the ego, the false sense of self. But this doesn't necessarily have to have a bad connotation. It's just the false sense of self, the thing you got told, for example, you or imprinted that you are when you were young, or people, yeah, how, depending on how you grew up, of how you assumed you are based on the energy other people imprint upon you through situations. Yeah, certain situations. And most of the time it's like you're not the one, or most of the time we got agonized in some way. And that's the deep one, as the bad guy. And that's how we also connected to these darker energies, or to the darkness of ourselves, of this self. Doesn't mean that you now uh, like have to do something bad, but it's basically how the darkness was created by throwing a shadow, by cutting itself of its own light, of its own source, and yearning of survival, and also through trauma, for being traumatized, and through, yeah, through basically being imprinted upon that it can't trust the light, and it has to, it's it's the bad guy, or it got no other options than to stay in the dark, however you want to see it. Of course, the more unresolved this is, and the more force people use, the more they try to create it on the planet. But actually, those aren't those. That's why people call it puppets. I try to say it not so much in a negative manner, in a more neutral manner. Of course, you can say that from one perspective, but basically, it's just the unresolved energies within ourselves who still believe that, and that's rooted in the I am presence, or at least you can, if you explore yourself or try to heal, you can easily spot that, unless you're still afraid to look at it, and this energy is trying to make you look, basically, because it's also light from a higher perspective at the energy itself, but of course from another perspective it tries to push it outside, and from another perspective it's your hurt inner child telling you it was never it, and it was never it. Okay, you weren't born the bad guy. If so, you try you fall prey to that archetype, or yeah, put so much belief of yourself into it, and like through, and I don't even mean on a larger scale, but they do and did it in extreme manners. That's why it went like that. But like, why you still got some type of trauma in your life, family trauma, even if it's not for your fault, if you're born into it, it's still the energy. It's coming through energetically, and this energy comes through everyone, or it doesn't even come through everyone. It's we are like I said, like we all know, we are the universe. So it's that department of yourself being activated for someone to look at it and to heal it, and we as light workers, and ultimately we all now find more and more courage to look at it and to heal it and to rebalance it into its divine place, because everything already has its perfect place. It's only the false plethora stating otherwise, and the more people assume that, the more, from a more darker perspective, the more it tries to pull attention through, getting louder in its message, and from another perspective, more forceful. Also, on a collective scale, which can take on very dark forms. But from one perspective, it also tries to get back to the light as well. Although I know how hard this might be to see. But that's why we're all on our own journey, and to in our own pace to realize that ourselves. And how we basically become the ultimate, healers, and we align fully more and more so with our soul, and become the creator who we are meant to be, as many speak about, right? And that's why also I am presence, the seed of the creator within you. Okay? But the old energies went in some ways in a forceful manner. What the hurt masculine was doing, and there are also varying degrees, was trying to rebalance it through focusing the creator energy in different directions, going away to some degree, away from being aligned with the creator that we are, which from one perspective might be the vertical, source, the ultimate creator or prime creator, and where our highest self is represented in or aligned with the core of who we truly are. But of course we are creators and got free will, so of course it's possible to play out as if it's, especially if we all try to figure it out from the collective, on a collective scale. Of course people then try to rebalance it in different ways. That's why they also say the divine feminine rising, because it can be tricky with the masculine, because where masculine also provides direction, heavily direction from one perspective. But if you're totally coming from a disempowered state and super hard in a child, and also have almost to zero, or have not, or in extreme case, or have not much, the awareness behind it, which also can be the connected and aligned to the creator that we are, the masculine, the active presence. Of course, then you create that, okay, and people try to rebalance it through varying degrees, because healthy masculine, healthy feminine is needed, and they try to rebalance it. And the further you go away from it, the more you agonize it, and it also has its not reasons, but yeah, some people went to agonize it because they got told that light bad, you dark, stay in the dark, and they got blamed for it, and the inner child is hurt. And then it's, they do it, they try to act in spite. And there are varying degrees, of course, or they just try to rebalance the masculine. That's why most of us then went in the opposite, but we were somewhere here trying figuring it out. Maybe not fully, or we went to heal the feminine, so we can fully align the masculine back to it. Or we're somewhere here healing the masculine and then looking at our feminine because we got one and healed it more and more, and then we heal the masculine and the feminine again, and you can observe that in your own life. One time you are more in your masculine, one time you're more in feminine, and you heal it. And but these extreme cases, what I also want to talk about, they collate to a collective dark spot, of course. Which collective, right? This is also much deeper, probably. But ultimately, your I am presence is also your creator energy or seed of your inner creator. And of course, if you got told, it dismantles your whole reality, and this can be a good thing because this can be the dark night of soul or the spiritual awakening if you let it, right? But if you the the more you hold on and try to cling on to the movement of ascension, the more of a blockage you become to yourself and your own, yeah, blind spot or dark spot from one perspective. But of course, if you let it, it's only a stage of the ascension and a blockage or a dark spot which already were there and you came to heal, and you can heal it in the most graceful way if you intend to do so. And that's also what we as lightworkers try to do and already do, and starseeds and however you want to call yourself, galactic shamans, healers. And yeah, that's also what people call the divine plan. If you let the grace come through that you are and your light shine through, because you are creator. And wow, boy, this was much. I hope this could help in some way. I'm not trying to defend anyone, but bring more light to these dark spots of ourselves. Because I also really think this, well, it's all part of the ascension, right? But it can hinder our perspective from one perspective, because you're still pushing the outside enemy, or you're still energizing it. That's that simple. The more you focus on yourself, the more you focus on your growth, the more you focus on embodying your soul, the more you focus on your happiness, your joy, on the blissful state, the samadhi, the oneness, with all, feeling very connected to yourself, the self, the all, and what you ultimately want, and to love and your two hearts desires, and love a more loving universe, or the version of you, of you and the universe you allow to gracefully come through. But of course, it's a journey, so I don't blame you wherever you are. Okay. I also have also, as why I talked about it, as healers we tend to forget to also focus on ourselves and include ourselves and love ourselves, and because that's how I see it, or how my spiritual awakening or ascension progress fasten up, and exploring of or reconnecting my true self fastened, deepened, was through, and that we all are pushed off center and being irritated, and now but I didn't want to, lash out or let out on other people, so my whole reality dismantled. But I still then realized that it's still the trauma it's no bad thing, but like I said, it wants to be cleared out and come to a greater measure of who you are through a brighter perspective of who you are and who we all are. And yeah, these correlations or relationships, they are just a mirror. And yes, I hope this could help you. If not, if you don't resonate, fine. I just, explained how I see it, how I also cleared a lot about that lately, and I think as a collective we did. And I also know that I also know people speaking about similar, and that some people already also see that, and many of us already experienced that, also on a cosmic scale, obviously, anyways. And we're empowering ourselves more and more. And the solar, from my perspective, is ultimately about the empowerment of the self and the creator. And that's why I find it so important. And if you got that on check, then you feel more free to connect to your heart again as well. And yeah, feel, think, and yeah, let yourself be from the heart. And yes, this is all also energetical, so it doesn't mean if you're a very grounded person, and being grounded is good anyways, grounded in yourself, right? Doesn't or right now you're clearing, your lower chakras. This doesn't have to be bad or that you're bad, and it doesn't even have to take on extreme cases. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That would that would be so unnecessary to create so much more suffering. If it can be much more easy and graceful. Okay, so but yeah, it's your reality, bro. So this was just perspective, and we heal more fully. We're already on track, and all is good. And we also already are headed towards coming to these greater conclusions, which are more empowering, and come back to self, right? To yourself, to the self, to the heart, to the core of your being. That's why I think also the obviously it is like that, but like especially like I see it as the two lower are already within the third chakra, in it, in the creator, but also these three and the four already brought together in the heart. Of course, you can always go higher, and you can see it how you want, but that's how I see it. That's why I also think the solar is so also much more connected to the heart than we think. And what I want to say, yeah, also we're preaching it. That's why we're going from the third to the fifth dimension, as they say, because we are empowering ourselves on that level. Of course, you don't have to, you know, see it that linear, because the heart is also very connected to the core of our being and to also the quantum and to love, which is beyond space and time, even if that sounds corny. That's why it heals if you really within your heart. But also we allow ourselves to go that way and to be channeled with ourselves and take the, yeah, the time or the nurturing also to heal and to go, step by step as it's laid out or, played out. So, thanks for watching. Blessings. And this video went much longer, but I knew it was a lot to say. Well, let's see. But it's great I talked about and expressed how I see it at the moment, and of course our perspectives expand in our awareness here, connecting the earthly realms to the heavenly realms, although Gaia is already connected. But all the energies trying to align to fully trust themselves to be who they truly are, the light that they are, so they can fully be aligned, yeah, with the light that they are, by allowing themselves to be that, and knowing that being scared of that and the fear of that was my illusion all along. That's what we all do. So, peace. Bye, guys. Yeah.